Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about everything firearms related, breaking news, politics, culture, movies, you name it. We're talking about it right here. So please remember to like and share this video feed so that your friends can join in the conversation. And trust me, today you're going to want to do that. You're going to want to have folks join in. As you can see, I've got the big cup today, so I'm drinking heavy on the coffee today because it's gonna be an interesting one. So please remember, once again, also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also follow us on Facebook. When you do that, then these alerts will pop up whenever we go live, and you'll get a chance to participate in the conversation as it's taking place. Finally, I want to remind you, fpcgear.com. That's fpcgear.com. Cool place to go. Buy T-shirts. Support the Second Amendment. Know that every dollar that you submit, every dollar that you give us for a T-shirt, every dollar you pay, it goes right back into the fight for our constitutional rights. That's fpcgear.com. All right. We've been talking a lot lately about 3D printing of firearms. And you guys are all familiar with Cody Wilson and everything that's gone on with that whole deal, Defense Distributed. And what's been so interesting about it is that, well, I'll tell you what, for those of you who are not aware of what's going on with Defense Distributed, let me go ahead and I'll show you a quick clip from a news report that'll kind of get you up to speed, and then we'll talk on the flip side of it.
For the past few days, the founder of a pro-gun group has been posting instructions online for using 3D printers to make guns. Tonight, a federal judge in Seattle ordered him to not upload any more blueprints while the court considers a multi-state lawsuit against him. Tony DeCopel is following this story.
In the past 3 days, more than 2,500 people have downloaded Cody Wilson's blueprints for 3D printed AR-15 assault-style rifles.
Anyone can use it for commercial and non-commercial purposes. It's there. No one can take that back from you.
At least 8 states are waging a legal battle against Wilson to block access to the 10 blueprints that detail how to make 3D printed firearms, from handguns to AR-15 style rifles, at home. The plastic weapons are untraceable, often undetectable, and deadly.
When somebody downloads a gun from your website with your blueprints and kills somebody with it, how are you going to feel personally?
I don't believe that if I allow you to download an AR-15, the full plans of an AR-15, I don't believe that I provided you anything other than the general knowledge of what an AR-15 is. I am no different from a publisher of information.
The debate captured the attention of President Trump, who tweeted, "I'm looking into 3D plastic guns being sold to the public. Doesn't seem to make much sense." The federal government settled a lawsuit with Wilson's organization Defense Distributed, allowing the company to publish its first batch of blueprints last Friday. The State Department tells CBS the decision to settle the case was made in the interest of the security and foreign policy of the United States.
Okay, so basically, once again, as the story just noted, this was a case about 3D printed guns and about basically really what it's about. It's less about the actual firearms than it is about a constitutional right. In this case, we're talking about the First Amendment. We've experienced here in California, and I'm sure many of you out there have experienced that once you decide to express your desire to exercise your right to keep and bear arms, to exercise your Second Amendment rights, many in government believe that your other fundamental rights then become suspect. Your right to due process, your right to private property, all of these things. And in this case, what we're talking about now is free speech rights. So in other words, what Cody Wilson is saying is, look, I get it. It is illegal to manufacture or to sell undetectable firearms. All right, we get that, but there is absolutely nothing illegal about providing information on them. There isn't. There's nothing illegal about it. He is saying he is the purveyor of information. The problem here, and the problem with this particular deal is that when you allow individuals, when you allow government to infringe on your liberty, right, in order to prevent you, because what they believe is, they're like, look, people might people might abuse their liberty. They might abuse their liberty and cause harm to others. So what they want to do is they preemptively want to infringe on your liberty in order to keep you from potentially abusing your liberty. But then what constitutes abuse? Why would we allow people to infringe upon our liberty? Simply because they believe there's a chance that someone might abuse their liberty. That's what the whole concept of the whole, not yelling fire in a theater. Well, guess what? What we don't do, yes, if someone yells fire in a theater and there is no fire and it causes a riot or a stampede or something and people get injured or hurt, right? Then we have laws in place that will hold that individual accountable. But what we don't do, we don't put duct tape on that individual's mouth. We don't muzzle them before they go into the theater. We don't allow the government is not allowed to do that. But yet in this case, what we want to do is we want to limit the constitutional rights, the civil rights of individuals, because we're afraid that they might go beyond what it is. They might violate they might overuse or they might hurt other individuals, by abusing their right. Well, guess what? Rights are dangerous. And because rights are dangerous, that's the reason why the founders felt the need to put them in the Constitution. It's the reason why they felt the need to protect them, because they knew that ultimately tyrannical governments are going to seek to use under the guise of protecting the individuals, protecting people, they're going to take away people's civil liberties, because that is the nature of a tyrannical government. And so you have the folks in the state of Washington. You had the Attorney General there, who is one of several attorneys general who has decided to once again go after Cody Wilson, go after Defense Distributed, and force them to take down the site. And here's a quick snippet of an interview that he did with we all know who this individual is, Mr. Anderson Cooper. But I want you to listen very carefully to his perspective on this whole thing and what he believes this whole case is about.
Now is Washington State Attorney General Bob Ferguson, who just scored that court victory, stopping the release of those blueprints, at least temporarily. Thanks for being with us. Attorney General, this temporary restraining order that you've been granted, what does it mean going forward in terms of, the law here?
Yeah, in terms of the law, and thanks for having me on again, Anderson, appreciate it. This is a nationwide ban, so it takes us back to a period of time before the federal government flipped on their policy regarding these 3D ghost guns. What it means is if anyone posts this information online, they're in violation of federal law and can suffer very serious consequences. So it makes it unlawful to post that information and make it available to the public.
Why did the government offer a settlement to allow these blueprints on the internet in the first place? Do we know? Because wasn't it the State Department that stepped in to prevent them from being posted online?
That is a very good question, Anderson, and truly it's baffling to me and many others why the federal government made this decision. And just to be clear, to your point, there's been a court case going on in Texas in which the Obama administration and the Trump administration opposed this entity down in Texas from making this information public. The State Department filed declarations talking about the national security risk and public safety risk. Though any process, no procedure, no nothing, they caved on a case they were winning and allowed this entity to go forward. It's truly breathtaking, and the risk to public safety is hard to overstate.
Yeah, Cody Wilson, the man who invented the first 3D printed gun, told CNN today that despite your suit, he's already uploaded plans and that blueprints for 3D printed AR-15 semi-automatic rifles have been downloaded more than 2,500 times. How concerned are you, and is there anything you can actually do about that? Once it's out there, it's out there, isn't it?
So I am very concerned about that. And every American should be very concerned about that, and the President of the United States should be very concerned about that. And he can put a stop to this right now. He should tell his attorneys to stand down in this litigation and allow us to declare victory in this case and move forward. So yes, some folks have been able to access information, but obviously, Anderson, if it's allowed to go forward for days, weeks, months, obviously many more thousands of people would have access to it. We want to limit that damage, and we're very thankful our judge here in Seattle granted our request for a restraining order to shut this down nationwide.
This notion from the White House and from the NRA that, quote, regardless of what a person may be able to publish on the internet, undetectable plastic guns have been illegal for 30 years. To that you say what?
Well, I say, why are you fighting me in court then? We're going to court to go back to a time in which it was illegal to do this. The U.S. government was in court today saying no, that entities should be allowed to post this information. So once again, we have an administration, we have a White House where the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing.
Okay, so let's break this down real quick, and we'll do it kind of in a reverse order. So he's saying that it was illegal to be able to post this information. My question, Mr. Ferguson, is where? What's the law that says it's illegal to publish this information? Oh, yeah, no. See, that's all part of a court case. Your temporary restraining order has nothing to do with anyone but the people involved in that particular case, does it? So you don't know what you're talking about, do you? See, that's the problem when you don't really know what you're talking about and you decide, hey, I'm just gonna get out there and spout. There never was a time where it was quote unquote illegal, and that's really what the case was all about. How is it illegal? Prove that it is illegal. That's what Cody Wilson the whole time is trying to say. How are you going to prove that you're going to be able to take away our rights? How can you take away our rights? Because if you show me a law that says it's unconstitutional, well, then guess what? Now we need to fight this battle on a civil rights basis. Now you are infringing on speech. You have law that infringes on speech. And so now we have to find out, are you allowed to infringe on this speech? Are you? Because in this case right now, there really is no law that allows him to do that. So that's one thing. The other thing to understand is that, the reason why I believe they caved on this, or not caved, the reason why they decided to settle on this is for a couple of reasons. One, they recognize that none of the firearms that are listed here are considered military weapons. Now, I realize those of you out there who think that anything that is a scary looking gun is a military weapon, but one of the things the administration noted was that no, a single shot guns are not military weapons. Semi-automatic rifles are not military weapons. You may want to try and call them that all you want, but that is not what they are. And calling them that is just a flat out lie. So they believe that ITARs, it doesn't apply to them. It doesn't apply because they're not military weapons. And by the way, with that, now we're also talking about the right to free speech. Understanding that while they're used to, when it comes to the Second Amendment, they're used to infringing on our rights. They're used to saying, I don't really need a reason, because they know that many in Seattle is in the Ninth Circuit. Yeah, many of the left-wing, out-of-control judges in the Ninth Circuit are going to back them up when they go to infringe on our rights, on our right to keep and bear arms, based on this whole rational basis argument. But when you start getting into the First Amendment, all of a sudden now we're talking strict scrutiny. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about levels of scrutiny by which laws and situations and cases are judged. In this particular case, we're talking about the First Amendment, and there's so much case law out there. There's so much out there when it comes to the First Amendment that you can't use the same. You can't say we can infringe on their constitutional right to free speech because guns. Yeah, you can violate their Second Amendment rights because guns, but you can't just jump out and violate their First Amendment rights just because you don't like the big, bad, scary guns. So they're being challenged. And he's right. You know what? There's absolutely nothing. One of the things Anderson Cooper wanted to make it a point. Once they're out there, they're out there. And so with that, I wanted to make sure that you guys know that, yes, they are out there. Oh, darn. Okay, it's a little hard to see that, but basically what we've done is the Firearms Policy Coalition, a group of individuals, Cal Guns Foundation, and a couple of other organizations have launched a site called codeisfreespeech.com. That's codeisfreespeech.com. In essence, because of the injunction, which applies to the case relating to Defense Distributed and Cody Wilson, they've taken their site down. And, seeing as how the information was just lying there, the Firearms Policy Coalition has decided to, make that information available. Now, mind you, it's all there. It's all free of charge. So, if nothing else, just visit the website just because it'll piss them off. Download the information just because it'll piss them off. Just because this is the thing. Rights are rights. You cannot infringe upon them unless we let you. And we are not willing to let you infringe upon our right to keep and bear arms. We are not willing to allow you to infringe upon our right to freedom of speech. You are going to have to get the Supreme Court to say, we don't have a right to free speech. You're going to have to get them to say, well, because guns. Now, if the Supreme Court's not willing to take up a Second Amendment case, which they haven't since 2010, well, hey, here's a Second Amendment case wrapped in a First Amendment case. So, do what you will, but just know, folks out there, that this, like I said, if we are going to allow them to infringe on one civil right, they will infringe on another. They've already gone after your right. They've already gone after your private property rights when it comes to firearms. They've already gone after your due process rights. Those are called the red flag laws. Yeah, that's due process. As well as, oh, by the way, they take your private property, so that's private property rights. So they've already gone after those, and now they're going after your free speech rights because they don't like guns. And the funny part about it is I think everyone who's seen these 3D guns knows they're probably not the best guns. They're one use, maybe two use. They're not the best firearms. But the whole point is that they're scary guns. They're scary because they're guns. And any victory that the Second Amendment movement has, any desire that people in the Second Amendment movement have to stand up to them, to stand up to their tyrannical schemes, they want to fight against. So, we are here to say that we will not allow you to utilize government tyranny to take away our individual liberty. We are going to use our individual liberty to fight back against your government tyranny. And that's what this is all about. That's really, in the end, that is what this whole thing is about. It's about what takes precedent, government tyranny or individual liberty. And the only way that this is going to be played out is if you folks out there participate in the conversation. So, share this video, share this website. Code is freespeech.com. We've got some other cool stuff that's going to be coming up in regards to it. So please share this information far and wide. Let people know. Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them or you will lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.